In a small town nestled between gentle hills, two children were born on the same day, a boy named Tashi and a girl named Lamo. Their families lived just a few streets apart, but their worlds were very different. Tashi's father was a traveler who worked in distant cities, while Lamo's mother was a teacher, rooted in the local school. From a young age, Tashi and Lamo felt a quiet connection, though their lives rarely crossed. They shared a love for stories and dreams of faraway places, but their days were filled with different rhythms. Tashi's family moved often, chasing work and new opportunities, while Lamo stayed close to home, learning and growing among familiar faces. As the years passed, the distance between their lives grew, a reflection of their parents' paths. Tashi's family ventured further into the world, while Lamo's world stayed small and steady. Yet, in the silent spaces of their hearts, they thought of each other like distant stars in the same sky, separate but somehow connected. When Tashi turned 12, his family was called away to work in a remote mountain town in Tibet. Lamo stayed in their hometown, continuing her studies and helping her mother. Though miles apart, they sent letters back and forth, simple words carrying warmth and friendship. Both children dreamed of the future, not knowing that one day their paths would cross again in the vastness of the Tibetan mountains, a place where destiny would weave their stories into one. The mountain air was crisp and thin as Tashi arrived with his family in the remote Tibetan town. The village was surrounded by towering peaks capped with snow, and prayer flags fluttered in the breeze like colorful whispers of hope. Everything was new and strange, yet full of a quiet beauty that seemed to touch the soul. At first, Tashi felt the weight of loneliness. His friends were far away, and the language was unfamiliar. But as days turned into weeks, he found comfort in the simple rhythms of mountain life, the soft murmur of the river, the distant bells of the monastery, and the kindness of neighbors who shared their warmth and stories. Meanwhile, Lamo remained in their hometown, where the familiar streets were lined with blossoming trees. She helped her mother at the school and excelled in her studies, especially in languages and history. But even as she learned about faraway lands, her thoughts often drifted to the boy who had become a quiet presence in her heart. They continued to exchange letters, delicate pages filled with tales of daily life, questions about dreams, and small drawings, mountains, animals, stars. Each letter was a bridge across the distance, carrying their friendship through years of change. Tashi's days were filled with work alongside his parents, helping the villagers and learning about the ancient customs. The mountain taught patience and resilience, reminding him that growth was a slow and steady journey. Lamo, too, learned to be patient, waiting for the moment when their lives might again intertwine. She practiced kindness and courage, qualities her mother often spoke about as the foundation of a meaningful life. Though separated by geography, their hearts grew closer with every word and every shared dream. The mountains and valleys between them were vast, but love, gentle and patient, crossed every mile. The years passed gently like the flowing streams of the mountains. Tashi grew stronger, his hands calloused from work but his spirit bright with curiosity. Lamo blossomed too, her mind sharp and her heart full of kindness. Yet, despite the many miles and the twists of fate, their connection remained a secret garden in each of their souls. One autumn, a letter arrived from Lamo that stirred something deep within Tashi. She wrote about the vastness of the world beyond their small towns, about the stories she had read of ancient paths crossing great mountains, and about her dream to see the land where the sky touched the earth. Tashi felt a calling he could no longer ignore. The mountains were home, but the world beyond beckoned with promise and mystery. He decided to embark on a journey across Tibet, to walk the ancient trails his ancestors had once traveled, hoping the path would somehow lead him back to Lamo. Meanwhile, Lamo prepared as well. She knew the road would be long and uncertain, but her heart was steady. With her mother's blessing and a small pack of essentials, She set off towards the mountains, drawn by the same invisible thread that pulled Tashi. The journey was not easy. The winds were cold, the paths steep, and sometimes the nights were so dark that the stars seemed to hide themselves. Yet, with each step, Tashi and Lamo found strength in their shared hope, a hope that they would meet again, not just in letters, but in the quiet beauty of the world they both loved. Along the way, they met monks who shared wisdom, shepherds who offered shelter, and travelers whose stories filled their hearts with courage. The mountains whispered secrets of patience and resilience, teaching them to move forward even when the path was unclear. And then, on a crisp morning painted with soft pink light, the two paths crossed. The moment Tashi and Lamo saw each other. Again was quiet, almost like a breath held in time. They stood beneath the vast Tibetan sky, where the soft clouds drifted slowly over the towering peaks. The mountains, ancient and wise, seemed to watch over them like silent guardians. Neither had expected the reunion to feel so simple, so gentle. No grand speeches, no rushing emotions, just two hearts recognizing a familiar rhythm. Their smiles spoke volumes, and in that silence, years of longing and hope found their place. They walked together along the narrow trail, sharing stories of the paths they had traveled alone. Tashi spoke of the monks and the lessons of the mountain winds. Lamo shared tales of blooming orchards and the warmth of her village. With every word, the space between them grew smaller until it vanished completely. Days turned into weeks, and the two found a peaceful rhythm in their new life together. In a small village nestled in a green valley, they built a home. It was simple, made with their own hands and filled with love. The villagers welcomed them with open arms, and life blossomed with quiet joy. Tashi and Lamo lived with gratitude for every moment, the laughter shared, the meals prepared from the earth, the prayers whispered as the sun set behind the hills. Their love was not loud or showy. It was steady and humble, like the river that flows endlessly, shaping the land gently over time. In this small corner of the world, they discovered the deepest truth, that love, when nurtured with patience and kindness, becomes a light that guides through all seasons. And as the stars shone brightly above their home, they knew they had found a place where their hearts could rest. Together, as the seasons changed, so did the life of Tashi and Lamo. Their little home in the valley grew with them, surrounded by wildflowers that danced in the breeze and ancient trees that whispered stories of old. Each morning, the golden sun would pour through the windows, waking them gently to a new day filled with simple joys. Tashi found work helping the villagers tend to their fields and care for the animals. His hands, strong from years of hard labor, now moved with a tenderness that spoke of his gentle spirit. Lamo, with her bright eyes and warm smile, became a beloved teacher to the village children, sharing stories of faraway places and the lessons she had learned on her journey. Together, they planted a garden, rows of vegetables, herbs, and flowers that bloomed in colors as vivid as their hopes. The act of nurturing life from the earth became a meditation, a daily reminder that love, like a seed, grows slowly but surely when tended with patience and care. At night, under the vast sky blanketed with stars, they would sit quietly outside their home. Sometimes they spoke softly of dreams yet to come. Other times they simply listened to the gentle sounds of the valley, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a night bird, the soft murmur of the nearby stream. In these moments, they understood that happiness was not found in grand adventures or distant lands, but in the quiet presence of each other and the world around them. Their love was a calm river, steady and deep, carrying them through life's changes with grace. As their bond deepened, the village flourished too. The people saw in Tashi and Lamo a reflection of hope and harmony, a reminder that even in a world full of uncertainty, love and kindness can create a home wherever one chooses to plant their roots. And so, beneath the watchful eyes of the mountains and the endless sky, Tashi and Lamo's story continued, a story of love, resilience, and the simple beauty of belonging. The village was alive with excitement as the annual Festival of Light approached. Lanterns in every color hung from the trees and rooftops, casting a warm glow that flickered like tiny stars in the evening breeze. It was a time of celebration, a moment when everyone came together to honor the harmony between nature, community, and the spirit. Tashi and Lamo prepared for the festival with quiet joy. Lamo carefully crafted delicate paper lanterns, each one folded with care and painted with symbols of peace and love. Tashi gathered wood and kindling, making sure the bonfire in the village square would burn bright and steady as night fell. The villagers gathered around the glowing fire, their faces illuminated by its golden light. Children ran through the streets, their laughter mingling with the soft hum of songs sung in the old tongue. Elders shared stories of ancestors and the mountains, reminding everyone of the deep roots that connected them all. Tashi and Lamo joined hands, feeling the warmth of the fire and the love that surrounded them. They released their lanterns into the sky, watching as the gentle flames rose slowly, carried by the night wind toward the endless stars. Each lantern was a wish, a prayer, a promise whispered into the dark in that moment. Tashi felt a deep sense of peace settle in his heart. The journey that had brought him here, the long roads, the years of waiting, seemed to dissolve into the night. All that remained was this: love, light, and the promise of tomorrow. Lhmo smiled, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. No matter where life takes us, she whispered, this is home. This is where we belong. And under the watchful sky, surrounded by the gentle glow of 1,000 lanterns, they knew it was true. One crisp morning, as the sun spilled golden light across the valley, a stranger arrived at the village. Wrapped in a cloak of deep blue, with eyes that held stories from distant lands, the traveler carried a small weathered bag and a gentle smile. The villagers gathered cautiously, but with curiosity, for visitors were rare in their quiet home. Tashi and Lamo welcomed the traveler warmly, inviting him to share in their morning meal and the simple rhythm of village life. The stranger introduced himself as Norbu, a seeker of wisdom and a wanderer of the mountains. He spoke of faraway monasteries, hidden valleys, and the endless search for understanding beyond the self. His voice was calm, his stories rich with lessons and wonder. Tashi listened intently, feeling a spark of recognition in Norbu's words. Lamo, too, found herself drawn to the traveler's gentle spirit and the light that seemed to shine quietly from within him. Over the days that followed, Norbu became a part of the community, helping with chores, sharing meals, and joining in the evening gatherings where tales and teachings were exchanged. His presence was like a soft breeze, stirring the stillness without disturbing the peace. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Norbu spoke to Tashi and Lamo beneath the ancient pine tree at the edge of the village. Love, he said, is not just a feeling between two souls. It is a path, one that asks us to grow, to face our fears, and to open our hearts even when it is hard. Tashi nodded slowly. We have learned that our love has been a journey, not just a destination. Norbu smiled. And the journey is never truly over. There is always more to discover, more to give, more to become. As the stars blinked awake above them, the three sat quietly, wrapped in the vastness of the night and the quiet promise of tomorrow. The days grew shorter as autumn began to paint the valley in hues of amber and gold. Tashi and Lamo decided to take a journey together along the mountain path, a winding trail that led beyond their village to places both familiar and unknown. With warm cloaks and sturdy boots, they stepped into the crisp morning air, feeling the earth beneath their feet and the vast sky above. The path was steep in places, lined with ancient stones and whispering pines that seemed to tell stories of travelers long gone. As they walked, They talked about dreams and fears, the life they wanted to build, and the love that had grown between them like a quiet river, steady, deep, and full of life. Sometimes they walked in silence, letting the sounds of the forest and the rhythm of their footsteps become their shared language. Halfway up the mountain, they reached a clearing where wildflowers bloomed even in the cool air. There, a small stream trickled over smooth rocks, its water clear and cold. They rested, dipping their hands in the stream, letting its freshness wash away the weariness of the climb. Lamo looked at Tashi, her eyes shining with a new certainty. "No matter where this path takes us, I want to walk it with you," she said softly. Tashi smiled, squeezing her hand. "Together, we can face anything. The mountain may be high, but our hearts are higher." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the trail, they made their way back to the village, carrying with them the quiet strength of the mountain and the promise of many more journeys to come. Asterisk. The village lay quiet under a blanket of stars when Tashi found himself wandering toward the old stone bridge at the river's edge. The gentle rush of water seemed to call to him, stirring memories long tucked away. As a child, he had often come here with his father, listening to stories of their ancestors, tales of courage, kindness, and the unbreakable bond between people and the land. Tonight, those stories felt closer than ever, as if the river itself was whispering secrets only he could hear. Lamo joined him, her presence a comforting warmth against the cool night air. Together, they gazed at the shimmering water, feeling connected to something larger than themselves, a thread woven through time, tying past and present. "We are part of this story, Tashi," Lamo said softly. "Our love, our choices, they become the whispers that will guide those who come after us." He nodded, understanding that their lives were not just their own, but part of a greater journey. The past had shaped them, but it did not bind them. Instead, it offered wisdom and strength to carry forward. In that moment, beneath the stars and beside the flowing river, Tashi and Lamo felt the quiet power of belonging to each other, to their village, and to the endless story of life itself. The Ka village buzzed with excitement as preparations for the Festival of Light began. Lanterns were carefully crafted from paper and bamboo, their soft glow meant to honor the spirits of the mountains and to celebrate the bonds that tied the community together. Tashi and Lamo helped the elders decorate the main square, their hands busy with delicate folding and tying ribbons. The air was filled with the scent of incense and the laughter of children running between stalls. As night fell, the village gathered around a large bonfire. Stories were told, songs were sung, and the lanterns were lit one by one. Their gentle light floated upward, carrying hopes and wishes into the dark sky. Tashi looked at Lamo, feeling the warmth of the fire mirrored in her eyes. "This light," he said, "is like our love, a beacon in the darkness guiding us home." Lamo smiled, her heart full. "And like these lanterns, it can brighten the world around us if we let it." Together, they released their lanterns, watching as the glowing orbs drifted higher and higher until they were little stars shining against the night. The Festival of Light was not just a celebration. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, love and hope could illuminate the path ahead. The first light of dawn crept slowly over the rugged peaks that surrounded the village, casting a soft pink glow across the valley. Tashi and Lamo woke early, drawn outside by the peaceful hush of the morning and the promise of a new day. The crisp mountain air was filled with the scent of pine and earth, mingling with the gentle murmur of the river that wound its way through the valley floor. Hand in hand, they walked down the narrow path leading to the riverbank, where the water flowed clear and cold, sparkling like scattered diamonds in the rising sun. The river was a constant in their lives, a silent witness to their joys, fears, and dreams. Today, it seemed to hold a special kind of magic, as if it knew the significance of this morning. They found a smooth, flat stone near the water's edge, and sat down, feeling the coolness of the rock beneath them. For a long moment, neither spoke, simply listening to the river's song and watching the way the sunlight danced on the ripples. It was a moment of stillness, a shared breath in the flow of time. Finally, Lamo broke the silence. "Do you remember when we first met here?" She asked softly. Tashi smiled, the memory warm in his chest. "I was lost then, just like this river sometimes feels, wandering, unsure of where to go. But you helped me find my way." Lamo reached out, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. "And you gave me courage when I needed it most. We've grown so much since then, haven't we?" "We have," Tashi agreed. "And I think it's time to make a promise." Lamo's eyes searched his face, curious and hopeful. "I promise to walk beside you," he said, voice steady but full of feeling, "through every mountain, every valley. To share the light and the shadow. To be your strength when you are weary and your joy when the world is kind." Tears glistened in Lamo's eyes as she squeezed his hand. "And I promise to do the same, to be your home, your harbor, and your companion." They sat there a while longer, hands intertwined, hearts full. The river flowed on, timeless and steady, as if blessing their vow. Around them, the valley woke to the songs of birds and the gentle rustle of leaves, welcoming the promise of love rooted deep in the earth and carried by the water god. As the sun climbed higher, warming their faces, Tashi and Lamo rose, ready to face whatever the journey ahead might hold. Together. Days turned to weeks, and the rhythms of village life pulsed steadily around Tashi and Lamo. Their love had grown stronger, rooted deeply like the ancient trees that shaded the hillside. But life, like the mountain winds, was never still for long. One morning, as the sun spilled golden light across the fields, a messenger arrived from the distant town where Tashi's father worked. The message was clear and urgent. Tashi's family needed him to come and assist with the growing responsibilities at their trade business. It was an opportunity, but also a call to leave the safety of the valley. Tashi's heart tightened. He loved the quiet beauty of their village, the embrace of the mountains, the gentle presence of Lamo, yet he also felt the pull of duty, the desire to honor his family's trust and support their future. That evening, he and Lamo sat by the fire outside their small home. Shadows flickered across their faces, and the warmth of the flames could not chase away the uncertainty lingering between them. "I don't want to leave you," Tashi said quietly, "but I can't ignore this call. I must help my family. It feels like the right path, even if it means stepping into the unknown." Lamo nodded, her eyes steady despite the ache in her heart. "We've always believed that love is stronger than distance. If that is true, then no matter where you go, we will find each other again." Tashi reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "I promise you, this isn't goodbye. It's only another part of our journey." Days later, under a sky painted with the soft hues of dawn, Tashi set off with a small pack and a heart full of hope and worry. Lamo stood at the edge of the village, watching until he disappeared from sight, carried away by the rising winds that whispered secrets of change and possibility. The village continued its gentle hum. But now, a new chapter had begun, one that tested their love across miles and time, one where faith and patience would be their guiding stars. The days stretched long for Lamo after Tashi's departure. The quiet of the village, once a comfort, now felt like a vast emptiness. Every morning she rose with the hope that the wind might carry a message from Tashi, some sign that their bond had not weakened despite the distance. True to her hope, a few days after he left, a letter arrived, delivered by a wandering trader, passing through the village. The paper was rough but carefully folded, and the handwriting was unmistakable Tashi's. Lamo's hands trembled as she broke the seal and unfolded the letter. The words inside were simple but filled with warmth. And longing. My dearest Lamo, the town is busier than I imagined, filled with strangers and the noise of new trades. Yet every moment I think of you, your smile, the quiet strength you carry, the way the mountains watch over us, both. Though we are apart, I feel you beside me in every step. The path here is challenging, but I carry your love like a lantern in the dark, guiding me forward. Write to me soon. Your words are my treasure. With all my heart, Tashi. Lamo read the letter over and over, the words a balm to her aching heart. She tucked it close to her chest, feeling a surge of courage. If Tashi could endure the unfamiliar and the hard, so could she. Inspired, she began to write back, filling her letters with stories of the village, the blooming wildflowers, the quiet streams, and the ever-watchful mountains. She described the daily life, the rituals she practiced, and how she kept their shared dreams alive in her heart. The letters became a thread weaving their worlds together, binding the miles between them. Each message sent was a promise renewed, that no matter where life took them, their love was a place to return to. Months passed, and the exchange of letters grew into a rhythm. The villagers often saw Lamo standing by the wind-swept hill, releasing her words to the breeze, hoping they would reach Tashi soon. But beyond the letters, both felt a deeper transformation stirring within, a quiet resilience, a growing patience, and a faith that whatever the distance, the heart remembers its true home. As seasons changed, the village prepared for its most cherished celebration, the Festival of Lights. It was a time when lanterns floated on the river, carrying wishes and prayers to the stars. For Lamo, this festival was especially poignant this year. It symbolized hope, connection, and the light of love that no darkness could dim. The entire village bustled with activity. Children painted delicate paper lanterns in vibrant colors. Elders gathered herbs and flowers for blessings, and everyone shared stories by the fire, their faces glowing with anticipation. Lamo joined the preparations with a quiet joy, her hands busy but her thoughts often wandering to Tashi. She carefully crafted a lantern, choosing soft shades of gold and crimson, colors that reminded her of warm sunsets shared with Tashi on the hillside. She inscribed a message on the lantern's base, a wish carried by the winds and waters. May our paths cross again beneath the endless sky. The night of the festival arrived, and the village gathered by the riverbank. Lanterns flickered to life, tiny flames dancing like fireflies in the gentle breeze. Lamo held her lantern close for a moment, feeling the weight of the promise it carried. A promise of reunion, love, and unwavering hope. With a deep breath, she released the lantern onto the water. It bobbed softly among hundreds of others, a glowing beacon floating toward the horizon. Around her, the villagers whispered prayers, their voices blending with the river's gentle murmur. Suddenly, from across the river, a familiar figure appeared. A traveler cloaked against the night chill, carrying a worn pack. It was Tashi. He had returned. Their eyes met across the shimmering lantern-lit water, and in that instant, all the months of waiting, longing, and hope converged into a single moment of joy. Lamo smiled through tears as Tashi crossed the bridge, his steps quickening until he stood beside her, under the vast Tibetan sky. With the river carrying their wishes onward, they embraced, two hearts reunited, stronger and brighter than ever. The Festival of Lights was not just a celebration of the seasons, but of love's enduring power, a power that had guided them back to each other, through the winds of change and the passing of time. With their reunion under the Festival of Lights still glowing warmly in their hearts, Lamo and Tashi began the next chapter of their lives. The quiet village nestled among the rolling hills of Tibet became their sanctuary, a place where love was not just spoken but lived in every breath, every action. They found a small, weathered cottage on the village outskirts. It was humble, with stone walls thick enough to hold the mountain winds at bay, and a roof patched with wooden shingles. The garden was wild with overgrown herbs and wildflowers. But to Lamo and Tashi, it was a blank canvas filled with promise. Together, they worked from dawn till dusk, restoring the cottage with care and patience. Tashi repaired the roof, his hands steady and sure, while Lamo tended the garden, planting seeds she had gathered from the valley. They shared laughter and stories as they worked, their bond deepening with every nail hammered and every seed. Sown. Days flowed like gentle streams, each one filled with quiet joy and the simple pleasure of building something meaningful. They crafted furniture from fallen wood, a sturdy table, benches carved with care, making their home not just a shelter but a testament to their love and dedication. Neighbors stopped by often, offering gifts of food, handmade quilts, and warm smiles. The village embraced them, recognizing the beauty of a love born in hardship and nurtured by resilience. Evenings were their favorite time. After the work was done, they sat together under the starlit sky, wrapped in a woven blanket, sharing dreams and hopes. The distant howl of a lone wolf or the gentle rustle of trees was the soundtrack to their quiet contentment. They spoke often of the future, of children who might play in the garden, of seasons yet to come, of the legacy they wished to leave. But above all, they cherished the present, the peace found in each other's company, the comfort of knowing they were home. In this small village, surrounded by ancient mountains and the whisper of the wind, Lamo and Tashi learned that love is not a grand gesture or a fleeting moment. It is the quiet work of building a life together, brick by brick, breath by breath, day by day. As Lamo and Tashi settled into their life together, the mountains surrounding their village became more than just a backdrop. They became teachers. Each peak, each whispering breeze, seemed to hold ancient wisdom waiting to be heard. One morning, Tashi suggested a journey to the higher slopes, a place he had visited as a boy. The mountain, he said, is patient and strong. It teaches us about endurance and humility. Let's go listen. They set out early, carrying only the essentials. The path was steep and rugged, winding through pine forests and rocky outcrops. With every step, Lamo felt a growing sense of awe. The mountains were alive, breathing alongside them. Vast and timeless. As they climbed, Tashi shared stories passed down from his ancestors, tales of monks who meditated under ancient trees, of travelers who found peace in solitude, and of the mountain itself as a symbol of inner strength. At a quiet clearing, they paused. The air was crisp and clear, and the valley stretched far below, bathed in morning light. Sitting side by side on a smooth rock, they closed their eyes and breathed deeply, feeling the stillness settle around them. In that silence, Lamo understood something profound. Just as the mountain endures seasons of storm and sun, so too must their love weather life's challenges. Patience, resilience, and a steady heart were the true paths to happiness. They stayed there until the sun began to dip, casting golden hues across the peaks. Descending slowly, their spirits were lighter, their bond stronger, shaped by the lessons of the mountain's quiet wisdom. From that day forward, whenever life felt overwhelming, they would remember the mountain's calm strength. And like the mountain, they learned to stand together, unshaken, enduring, and full of grace. As autumn slipped away, the village prepared for the festival of the first snow, a time when the people celebrated the coming winter with songs, dances, and shared stories around crackling fires. For Lamo and Tashi, it was their first winter together, and the excitement filled their hearts. The village square was transformed into a tapestry of color and light. Lanterns hung from trees, their soft glow reflecting on the early snow dusting the rooftops. Children ran about, their laughter ringing clear as they caught flakes on their tongues. Stalls offered warm tea, spiced bread, and hand-woven scarves. Lamo and Tashi joined their neighbors, feeling embraced by the community's warmth. They danced to the rhythm of traditional drums and sang ancient songs that spoke of love, endurance, and hope. As night deepened, the villagers gathered around the great bonfire. Elders shared stories of past winters, reminding everyone of the importance of kindness and togetherness in the cold months ahead. Hand in hand, Lamo and Tashi stood close, watching the flames flicker against the starry sky. The fire's warmth was nothing compared to the warmth they felt in their hearts, a glow that no winter chill could ever diminish. In the quiet moments between songs, they made a silent promise to face every season together, to nurture their love with patience and care, and to find joy in the simple beauty of shared life. The festival of the first snow was more than a celebration. It was a reminder that even as the world changes, love remains a steady flame, lighting the way through the darkest nights. One chilly morning, while exploring the outskirts of their village, Lamo stumbled upon an old, weathered journal half buried beneath a pile of fallen leaves. The leather cover was cracked, and the pages inside smelled faintly of earth and time. Curious, she opened it and began to read. The journal belonged to a traveler from long ago, who had journeyed through the very mountains that now surrounded their home. His words spoke of wonder, hardship, and a deep longing for peace, feelings that resonated deeply with Lamo. She shared the discovery with Tashi, and together they spent hours poring over the faded ink, imagining the traveler's path, his hopes and fears. The journal was a bridge across time, connecting them to a stranger whose soul seemed kindred. This connection reminded them that their story was part of a larger tapestry, woven with countless threads of love, loss, and growth stretching back through generations. Inspired by the traveler's courage and humility, Lamo and Tashi felt renewed purpose. They decided to record their own journey, to leave a legacy for those who might one day walk these mountains after them. Writing brought them closer, each word a testament to their shared life, their dreams, and the quiet power of enduring love. As winter deepened outside their humble home, Lamo and Tashi found themselves drawn inward, not just physically from the cold, but emotionally and spiritually. The long nights became a time for reflection, meditation, and deep conversation. They spoke of their fears and hopes, their childhood memories, and future dreams. They learned that love was not only about joyful moments, but also about patience and understanding during times of hardship. One evening, wrapped in warm blankets by the fire, Tashi shared a teaching he had learned during his travels, that true love requires a journey within oneself first. To love another deeply, one must first cultivate kindness, compassion, and peace in the heart. Lamo nodded, realizing how much their shared solitude had nurtured their souls. They practiced mindfulness together, breathing slowly, listening to the silence, and finding calm amidst the storm outside. The journey within was as vast and mysterious as the mountains around them, full of shadows and light. But walking it side by side made the path brighter. This winter, their love grew stronger, not just because of their closeness, but because of the peace they carried inside themselves. Spring returned to the mountains with gentle showers and blossoming flowers, painting the village in soft pastels. Lamo and Tashi stood together outside their modest home, breathing in the fresh air, heavy with promise. Years of shared moments had shaped them into more than just a couple. They had become a living testament to love's quiet strength and simple joy. Their days were filled with tending the garden, helping neighbors, and weaving stories into the fabric of village life. Children gathered around them eagerly, listening as they recounted tales of their journey, the long separations, the chance reunion in the Tibetan mountains, and the deep love that had blossomed against all odds. Their love was not grand or flashy, but steady and true, like the ancient mountains themselves. Rooted in kindness, patience, and humility, it had grown into a home where anyone who entered felt warmth and peace. On a calm evening, as the sun dipped behind the peaks, Lamo and Tashi sat quietly, hands intertwined, hearts full. They knew life would bring challenges still, but with love as their foundation. Every path, no matter how winding, would lead them home. And in that simple truth, they found endless happiness.